Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Tuesday night. This one, the 9th of December, for episode 199 of So What's Been Happening. Who would have thought, hey? 199. It's rapidly approaching 200 with only one episode to go. This one's an exciting one with Great Australian Bank. What a great name. Very intrigued to find out the origins of the name. And who knows what else was in the pipeline around those times. Sometimes we can quandary over a name and quarrel over a name in a band for a long time and come up with one that was just rolled off the tongue or saw it on a piece of paper. Who knows? But look forward to having a chat to Tass in a second. So you only for 16 odd days till the big fat man in the red suit comes and greets us again. And we make some of those silly, crazy New Year's wishes that largely we don't hold any longer than probably one day. But I'd like to just wish that all the musicians for the rest of this year can have a great break and a little recharge of the batteries and put out some great music as they have done in 2025 and put out some even better music in 2026. It's a tough industry at the moment, but they need your support. We need your support. Punters need music. So the most important part is get on Bandcamp or something like that. And honestly, have a think about gifting some music, a record, a tape, a CD. It's all there, even the T-shirt and some merch to a friend, and put that in the sack this year instead of some bit of junk they don't want. And who knows, they could become a big fan of some of the musicians you get to see. I'm really excited to hear that Foo Fighters just announced that tour that's going to happen. Well, it's not really a big tour. It's one-off in Tasmania and Spooky Eyes, and also Brisbane's Full Flower Moon Band, who I absolutely love. Really exciting that they get to play on that bill. So looking forward to getting down to Tassie for that one. All right, let's not hold back the man any longer. Let's bring him up. Mr. Tass Coomber. How are you, mate? Welcome.
Good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Good, very good on a Tuesday night, mate. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, for sure. Just thinking it's kind of fortuitous that you mentioned Tassie. It's actually where I'm from. So, yeah, certainly good to hear some endearing comments about the place, and see Foo Fighters putting it on the map with some local bands as well.
Definitely. Well, let's start there, mate. Which part of Tassie did you grow up?
From Hobart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right where that band's going to play, which is really exciting for Foo Fighters to hit Hobart a lot. Actually, is it Hobart? Come to think of it, I think it's actually Lonnie.
I don't actually know much about it.
Yeah, I must quickly check that one out. But I actually got a feeling it is Lonnie. Anyway, wherever it is, it's over the good part of Australia in the little pocket. Mate, what's your memories of growing up in Tassie? How long were you there before you decided to move away?
Gee, feels like a lifetime ago now. I mean, I was born in Smithton and moved to Hobart when I was like 3. And yeah, just fond memories, of course. It's interesting. There's like kind of Hobart before Mona, which was kind of like a lot more I don't want to say desolate, but like it was a lot more like you were kind of left to your own devices in terms of figuring out what to do with your free time and all the open space that you kind of have around you. And so I think for me and a lot of my mates, it was just about, a lot of that time was spent playing music, and that was kind of the thing that brought us all together. And then I think Mona came and brought this whole new sort of kind of weird, wacky world down to our little corner of the world. And it kind of, from there opened up a lot more opportunities for live music, and arts and culture became a lot more sort of prominent down there. It always has been, but it was kind of just dialed up to 11 from that point on. And I think I would have left Tassie for uni, the same reason a lot of young budding 18, 19-year-olds do at the time. Moved across the Bass Strait for just different opportunities.
Yeah, what you possibly saw as a wider opportunity. But I mean, Tassie's definitely batting above its average as far as what's down there now, and it's really growing on. So just to Just to clarify, it is definitely Launceston Foo Fighters are playing, so don't go into Hobart.
Good. Thanks for validating that one.
You're going to be a little while away if you head that way.
Yeah.
It's only a small place, but it takes a little while to get around. So, mate, great to hear and get you on the show, first and foremost, talking about Great Australian Bank. Talk to me about growing up, mate, and just the very early phase of what you remember in music. What was kind of, have you got a bit of a moment or one of your first earliest memories of music that you can remember?
Oh, I guess like I can go right back to when I sort of first was learning guitar. I think I would have been like 9 or something. Well, technically it was actually bass. It was my first instrument. Grew up in like a family household full of brothers, and I think it was just kind of like our stepdad was always playing music, always had an acoustic guitar and was playing, and I think we kind of got to a point where we thought it would be a good family activity to get the kids to pick up some instruments. My brother picked up the drums. My stepbrothers picked up guitars. I picked up a bass. And I think from that point on, I just kind of got pretty obsessed. I just sort of remember like learning Smoke on the Water and just like really drilling it into my brain, and going to school trying to like learn maths to do PE or whatever, and just like only being able to think about, I know what fingers are going on the fretboard or whatever, and kind of imagining notes and what sounds would come out of the bass, and like just being so eager to pick it up again, and just being really like kind of unable to take my attention away from it no matter where I went, and that's kind of been relatively consistent, I think, throughout the better part of my life from then on.
Sure. And were you the young one in the family? The bass got left on the ground and you were the last one to pick it up? How did it come about, mate?
Yeah, I think it was just like when we were choosing our instruments, it was sort of like where, there was a bit of a method to it. Like we were trying to think like, oh, if we're gonna all learn an instrument, like we should all be able to play together as like a sort of family band, like something fun that happens in the lounge room every couple of nights or something. And so it was just sort of like I wanted to play guitar, I think, and then it was like the 2 other boys have like picked up the guitar, so like you can't do that. So I was like, what's the next best thing? It was bass, but then I just kind of picked up the guitar anyway from like 12, and that's kind of been my main instrument since.
Yeah, okay, nice. Yeah, very nice. All right, we're gonna move straight into a track, mate. We're gonna go back this one a little while ago, 4 or 5 years ago now. The Press. All right. Time flies, hey? Here it is, The Press.
It certainly does.
Where capacity to lead, no vested interest.
There it is, the press, and here's what it looked like. Good little cover there too, mate. Single. Tell us a bit about just that artwork in particular. Where'd that one come from?
I couldn't tell you to be honest. I think I just
Can't
sort of
remember.
slapped it together on
Yep,
Photoshop
yep,
very
that's all right.
quickly. Yeah, there wasn't really any particular motif I was going for. There wasn't like you know, it wasn't intended to be like, poetic or anything like that. It was just like, yeah, we need something stat. And so I just sort of like got a picture of some plants or whatever that I had in my drive and just like messed around with the threshold and chucked some chucked a title and some blue color on it, and then that was it. It was
Beautiful, man.
good enough. Yeah,
Beautiful.
that one's going way back. It was sort of strange to watch that one. I haven't seen that video in a very long time. So,
Yeah, it's kind of why we
yeah,
we do some flashbacks, and I was going to ask you how long since you sat there and watched it at parts of it, or even anything in entirety. 3.5, 4 minutes kind of seems like forever these days when we have this 15-second world that we're in at the moment, especially with socials and the way everything is and the way music's absorbed now. Can you
yeah,
remember the
definitely.
last kind of full album you sat down and listened to? Has there been one recently that you're listening to?
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of this album I've had on repeat recently. It's this album. Ah, geez, I can't forget what it's called, and it's a really Living Commodity, sorry. What is it called? Living Commodity? I can't remember. By this band called Egyptian Blue. It's like this rough trade kind of post-punk band from UK. I've
Yep.
been flogging that lately. A dear friend of mine, Cade Culpit from the local band The Mundanes, put me onto it. Shout out.
Yep.
Yeah, great record. Highly recommend.
Good. Very good. I always love hearing about new music. It's not one I've come across, but there's so much music out there, isn't there, at the moment? How is it for a young band, mate, trying to get a cut through into today's world, trying to push out there, and where's the place to get found these days? I suppose it's the $1 million question, right?
Oh man, I think it's just like I don't know, it's a tough one because it's kind of like it's kind of like indulging this assumption that you want to be found, I guess,
Yeah,
as well. And for us,
sure.
it's not really about that. It's more about, like, at least from the very beginning and still is to this day, just about being a part of the scene and being a part of the community and the culture. So I guess in terms of where you get found and where you meet people is just sort of out at the scene, out at you know, like great music venues all across Naarm, like Old Bar, Lily Tavern, Nighthawks, the Tote, those sorts of venues along the Johnson Street Strip, and other ones in Brunswick as well, such as the Bergie Band Room and the Retreat. Yeah, anywhere that's got a stage and has live music sort of programmed regularly, yeah. I guess for us, if we're not there watching bands, if we're not there playing, then we're there. Yeah, we're there just socializing because they're great places to be and they're great safe spaces where, um, you know, we just love to hang out and we feel comfortable.
Yep.
Does that kind
Yeah,
of answer your
absolutely.
question a little bit?
Yeah, totally it does. We're so lucky to have so many great venues in Melbourne. And sadly, we do lose a couple along the way, but we are hanging on to some of them, with a gritting our teeth to try and hang on to some still. Obviously, we lost the Gasso recently.
Yeah.
But to be able to hang on to as many venues as we can is really important to put young bands, old bands, all sorts of bands up on stages. It's a challenging space at the moment to put, two and three bands together and try and play packed shows at any night of the week. The joy of Melbourne is there's pretty much a show on every night, which is still a great sign. And I'd like to thank you, mate, on behalf of all the punters out there that you guys get up there and largely pay for nothing, live jams
No, thank
effectively,
you.
and keep doing what you're doing, mate. Putting out great music. To have a talent like that, some of us as general punters that have a good ear for music, we thank you for doing what you do.
No, thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate it. It's at the end of the day, it's all fill up at the game. So here's to more fun and games.
Yeah, it is absolutely. And as summer brings on, that's a great time for festivals and music, and that joy sense of community. You touched on that before. How important is that really in the world of mental health and struggles that everyone can go through at the moment? To have a sense of connection as a band is really important, and to lean on other musicians. So just tell us a little bit about that kind of thing and what that means to you.
It means everything, really. I mean, like, being in a band is, well, playing music for me is always been a huge part of my identity as a person. I can't begin to imagine what my life would have been, and where I would have ended up if not for music kind of being a sort of cornerstone in terms of how I engage with other people and the decisions that I make, and where I kind of go to meet people. And so I think being in a band is something that has kind of afforded me a lot in terms of connection to people, new friends, and has been a sort of cathartic thing as well, in terms of having, I guess, something that I just need to do in order to sort of like scratch that creative itch, and also share that in the many of the spaces that I've kind of just mentioned earlier, and connect with other people who resonate with the music, or other musicians who want to join up and play music together, be it jamming in a room or sharing a bill. Like, yeah, there's just so many ways that it's opened up doors, not just for me, but for many of my friends and other people in my close circles too.
Yeah, perfect. All right, Don't Call Me. It was one you brought out last year, mate. It's another ripper, and we'll talk about the clip after this one. But here it is, Don't Call Me.
Don't call me immigrant, like I scoffed your throat. Don't call me different, 'cause you don't know. You don't see me without looking down on the key for an uppercut. Don't call me foreign, like I trod on your lawn. Don't call me other, 'cause you don't know.
There it is, mate. It's great. Don't call me. It's
Thank you very much.
it's a great clip too. Putting that clips together. You know what do they mean to you, mate? The younger generation putting together a clip. Well, I appreciate it as an older guy, mate. Sat back years and years of rage, and obviously some of those programs still exist. But you know, is it a really important part for you to nail some of those on some of your songs and have that, you know, that artistic component visually as much of the audio part is?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like it's something that we worked pretty hard to, I guess, like build into the sort of whole Great Australian Bank kind of visage, if you like. Like it's you know, I think I saw on like some interview from a band a little while ago, maybe even going back a year, that people engage with your music in more than just by listening to it. Like, you know, there's got to be a visual component to it too, that I think if it leans into the sound pretty well, then people can, you know, perceive it that way. And then, you know, if it matches the music, then the two can kind of go hand in hand. So I think we had the sound pretty down pat solidly, at least we think we have. And so I think we tried to go for a video that was pretty inspired by, like, you know, a lot of the 80s, like maybe mid 80s kind of abstract kind of stuff that, you know, the likes of, you know, the Church, or even like, you know, other more goth adjacent artists from that time, like Peter Murphy and Bauhaus and stuff, were sort of doing, and tried to um, kind of build something that sort of leans into that. And, you know, so we teed up with you know, a good friend of mine. His name's Buster, who's a videographer based here in Melbourne, and worked with him pretty closely. He really helped us kind of realize our vision. We rented out a cyclorama studio, put it all together, got a bunch of, like, you know, sort of older vintage stock footage, just got a bit crazy with the with all the, you know, kind of embellishing all those elements into the piece as well. And finally our guitarist Pat ran the final product through like an old CRT TV and created this really kind of cool techie setup that sort of like made everything sort of look like a piece that was plucked right out of that time period, I guess. So and yeah, like that kind of went hand in hand with how we recorded the album as well. Like in that song in particular, like we were always shooting for something that would sound, or would sort of lend well to the 80s kind of vibe, I guess. And I think with Don't Call Me, we did that pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So you touched on thinking you'd nailed the sound. Okay, so that's obviously the most important part as a band. But talk to me about chasing that sound, mate. Where did you go on that discovery in the early kind of phase of the band, and has it come from your influences mainly, or is it part of your style and your writing? Where's it come from?
It comes from well, for me personally, like it comes from my influences as a kid, like growing up listening to you know, I think a lot of people my age sort of have this kind of formative experience of like growing up, and you've got like maybe you've got like a stereo in the living room that your parents might be putting a lot of music on from their generation, you know, perhaps with the hopes of you know, their offspring picking up something or being inspired by it. And for me it was like you know, my dad was always putting on bands like Midnight Oil and putting on the Church, and there's a lot of Sonic Youth in there as well. It was a bit of the Mark of Cain was played a lot as well.
Yep.
Very kind of rigid, kind of aggressive Adelaide band as well that are very well known. But yeah, for me, all of those influences are just kind of part of my formative years, I think. And so when the band started, I think we wanted to just play music that kind of paid homage to that, but also I think when we were writing music, which started off with Pat and I many years ago, in particular, a lot of what we were bringing from those influences just kind of came pretty naturally because, you know, they're your influences, right? They're sort of just a part of you, so they just kind of come out in the creative process. But I think the thing that really changed in terms of nailing it was just like just we both bought chorus pedals for our guitars, and then that was it. Like we were pretty much set from there. Like that's it's such a, you know, it's a bit of a trope of rock guitars back in the day to, you know, have like a chorus effect on their guitars, because it just kind of makes the chords sing, and it's sort of like creates a, you know, there's a particular character to it that's quite reminiscent of that time, and it's really popular. So I think we when we started out, and even when we wrote the press, we didn't have that quite nailed down yet. But then I think a couple of years after that, we were just like, what's the one thing we're missing? Oh shoot, it's chorus. We don't have chorus on our guitars. And then when we added that, we were pretty much off to the races from there.
Yep. And is it something you kind of discovered young to dig deeper on what those bands were kind of doing and what equipment they were using, what pedals, what amps were they using? You know, what were the effects? What used to happen? Is that's probably the endless dream and chase of a musician, obviously. But was that it for you? Did you go down that rabbit
Yeah,
a few times?
We went right down that rabbit hole, I think, especially when we were preparing to record the album To the Dry that we released last year, and the song that just played, Don't Call Me's on. We really we really dove pretty deep into what bands of that time had done. We obviously weren't going to record everything to tape because it would be too expensive, but we took some leaves out of the 80s playbook and applied them to our recording, and how we play a fair bit as well. And that's, you know, that's done wonders for the sound. I think it's been a pretty essential component.
Yep. And the songwriting process for you guys, how's it? Have you seen that kind of change over, you know, an album or a few EPs in amongst that? Has it evolved over that time or changed?
Yeah.
Or has it just been honed a little bit?
It's definitely changed a lot, I think. Like, I think when we set out, we were writing music that was pretty angular and pretty wacky. Like the press is just kind of, you know, full of riffs, I think. And so it was kind of like a lot of the earlier stuff, even a lot of the stuff that's on To the Dry that we put out last year, it's sort of like assembled from like a hodgepodge of different riffs that we've just put together, and, you know, thought that, you know, this one sounds good here or this one sounds good there or whatever, and, you know, kind of build a song from that, and then the lyrics are kind of like slapped on top. And I think that was sort of the process for a long time. But recently, by recently I mean going back like a year and a half or so ago, just started writing songs on acoustic guitar a lot more. And you know, I think that was maybe a byproduct of listening to a lot of Triffids and the Go-Betweens and such. But that sort of shift, which is kind of bringing us to where we are now, has led us into a place where our songs have a bit more space and maybe a bit more emotive, a bit less angular and a bit less angsty, and maybe, I don't want to say more honest, but they've you know, it's honesty that's taken a different form. It's like, you know, every artist has their kind of creative journey and, you know, matures in a different way. I guess for us, that's kind of sort of the trajectory for our maturity as a band.
Yep. And obviously an incredibly mature name for a band, Great Australian Bank. Tell us a bit about, mate, where'd that come from?
Oh, that was that was at the time, I think we really set out to be, you know, a pretty politically aware band, and that's like that was a decision not because it was like cool or anything. That was because, you know, we as a collective have always been pretty sensitive people and always you know, very much worn our values on our sleeve. And, you know, to this, that hasn't changed. And I don't think that will ever change. Like, that's always going to be an essential part of who we are as a band and who we are as people. And that manifests in our art. But in terms of the band name, Great Australian Bank was sort of intended to be a bit of a piss take on capitalism in Australia. I think, you know, you walk around everywhere and you see Great Australian burgers, Great Australian insurance, Great Australian this, that, whatever commodity or service is being sold, and how it's kind of like packaged up with like nationalism essentially as this kind of, you know, point of validation for its sincerity. And I think, the band name was basically just intended to, just take the piss out of that. And I'm surprised it wasn't like taken, to be honest. Like, I remember punching it into Google when I was like much younger, when we were just starting out, and I was surprised to see that it was free. Wasn't taken by any other bands, but also wasn't really taken by any other banks either. So we were able to just seize it, and it's just been it's been a kind of memorable thing that people recognize us for now, which is a good thing, I think.
Absolutely, it is. All right, we're going to talk about some of the latest stuff. Sorry about that, mate. Not sure what happened there, but we're back.
All good.
Live technical glitch, but let's touch on some of that stuff you've got in the can recently, mate. And with a gig coming up next Friday at the Old Bar, to one of those official launches of a single. This one called "Leaving." Tell us a bit about the song, mate.
Yeah, so this one's a very new territory for us, I think. Like, it's this is one of the songs that I kind of like was, you know, what I was saying earlier, like I've been writing more songs on acoustic guitar. This is definitely one of them. It's, you know, it's less janky than the rest of our catalog, and it touches on more personal stuff, I think, than more of the politically pointed kind of topics that we've gone for previously. But with in terms of the lyrics for this one, I guess, which would be a good place to start, it kind of emerged from a point in my life where there was just kind of like a lot of upheaval going on, not just with myself personally, but also with also amongst all my friends and all the other people that were, you know, that are kind of in my closer circle. And so it kind of created this really, like, you know, it was like upheaval was like this kind of weird pathogen that was like kind of going around amongst my friends. And so it meant that everybody's capacity to support each other at that time was like really very limited, and yet we all pulled through for each other anyway. And you know, I'm happy to say that everyone's in a much better place now, including myself. But I think the reflection point that it prompted for me was like, where do I see myself in like 10 to 15 years, and what does that look like? And if it looks like this kind of thing where I've got, like, I don't know, a mortgage or a kid, or some kind of Western kind of image of stability or whatever, then maybe it wouldn't be so bad, because all the people that have supported me over the past however many years, various years that various people have been around for, I would hope that they would be a part of that picture. And I also would hope that I'd be happy to be there as well, I think, you know, and without regret. You know, I think I've done a lot with my life so far, and there's a lot that I want to continue doing. Like, you know, I've taken the band on tour. I've lived in multiple different places and cities. I've been privileged enough to be able to travel the world where I can. I love my friends. I love my family. I love the community of people that I get to share, you know, I suppose an optimistic future with. And so leaving is sort of like, you know, a bit of a package of all of those things, I guess.
Okay. Perfect time to check it out. Here it is. Leaving.
Tied to every single day with you. Stepped off from the plane, lost touch on the way. I took my time, I hurried up, I made it here. Stealing out at last, good to go. We're good to go. Stepped off from the plane, lost touch on the way. I took my time, I hurried up, I made it here, and slowed down again. Time to burn, there's no returning. Time to burn, there's no returning. Time to burn, there's no returning.
Plenty of fade to black there. Time to burn. There's no returning. Do you think we sit there enough? And also the line, "I'm good to go." Do you think we sit there enough and appreciate that slow time that you talked about in the song?
Honestly, I think we don't, and I think we should appreciate it more. And I think that's one of the things that I wanted the song to kind of turn attention to, you know, somewhat discursively, but yes. In short, yes. I guess I don't really have much more to add to that, but
Yeah.
I think you know, slow time, valuable time, rich time with community and the people that you care about is essential.
Yep. And writing a song about exactly that, mate. To honor and respect that kind of time and appreciate that time you get to do, because sometimes that time just clicks and it's gone, and it happens way too quickly. It's
Definitely.
like some of the gigs that we get to. You never want the band to finish, and all of a sudden, the 45-minute set's done.
Oh yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what to expect, mate, on this night at the Old Bar.
Well, we'll celebrating our single launch. We'll be sharing the stage with some amazing local supports: EMS, Techno Triple Six, and Doppler House. All amazing bands at Old Bar. We'll have some merch to sell. We will be playing Leaving. We'll be playing some classics, and I think we'll also be road testing some new songs as well. So that's part of a more of a grand plan for us, because we're actually heading out on tour in February and March too. So
Brilliant.
this will be kind of like our last sort of blowout for the end of the year before we go into holiday season and all go away to see our families and come back fresh in the new year and then pretty much hit the ground running.
Yeah, recharge batteries, get out there, play some new music in amongst plenty of gigs. And what's the plans after that, mate? 2026, is it kind of get in the studio and try and get a few down and record?
Yeah, definitely. I think after we're back from tour, we're pretty keen to get into album number 2 from March, and hopefully get something out from that maybe mid-late next year, and then see how we go from there. See if there's time and money to get back onto the road again. I'd like to get the band out again in like maybe September, October, I think, next year. So like that'll be pretty good innings for 2026. So yeah, that's the plan loosely, I think. But how the album recording goes and the release strategy that emerges from that will pretty much set the scene for what it looks like. But yeah, we got plans.
What's the biggest challenge, mate? As for any young bands coming kind of through now, what's the biggest challenge in respect of planning a tour and putting together a tour, and trying to keep that connection for a period of time in amongst the job that doesn't pay largely?
Yeah, I think it's just like, I know, like organizing a tour and going on tour is such a, like, it's a pretty meticulous operation. Like you kind of, you've got to work and book it like many months in advance. Australia is a funny place as well, where there isn't really a like economy if you're a smaller band where it's viable to tour like and just remain consistently on the road for like 2 weeks at a time. Like you kind of because most people go out to venues and to see bands on like weekends predominantly. So you end up doing like Fridays and Saturdays, and some weekdays, depending on the venue, in like different parts of the country. And so that's kind of what we're having to do. It's the challenge that we have to meet, but we're happy to meet it. We're happy to get out there, I think. But I think the biggest thing for us, and we've toured a couple of times now, but getting started, I think, is just what's the saying I'm thinking of? It's just like, the 1,000-mile journey starts with like one step. So you kind of just have to give yourself permission to do it and to want to do it. And that starts with like having conversations with people who've done it before, getting some clues about how to get started, and then just doing a little bit of a map, and then just shooting out to venues, saying you want to play a show, and then just going from there. But it's hard to say, it's hard to pin it down to like one challenge, because there are so many challenges with doing it. But like, if you can give yourself permission to get started and then really hack it and then follow through and then actually just do it, then that kind of thing creates waves, and it it raises the bar for what you're capable of as a musician and as a band as well. So really encourage all younger bands to follow suit and do the same thing, and just get out there, get out of town, play in the regions, play in places that you haven't played before, and just be prepared to make new connections and have fun.
Great advice. That's from Great Australian Bank. All right, talk to me a little bit about this cover, mate. I'm intrigued. It's a cracker. Who's the little boy in the photo?
The little boy is me. It's
Great shot.
yeah, I think I was yeah, me and a little skateboard skating around in Smithton where I grew up. I would have been like, it would have been like 3 or 4 in that photo. Like I remember the place and I remember the you know, the skateboard. But I you know, the rest of it around it's pretty foggy. But yeah, when I was putting together the album art, I was looking for, I guess, like something kind of nostalgic and something to like I guess something sort of like captivating to sort of, you know, bring the viewer in. And you know, so I was going through some like old photo albums that I had offhand and was combing through, finding a few pictures of me and, you know, my brothers and, you know, my parents, like, you know, sort of hanging out. And there's this picture of me on the skateboard was it was a bit of a striking one, just with the red and with the, you know, the kid on the skateboard, just kind of like, I suppose, like the picture of innocence before you know, fast forward 30 years later, and it's just like, you know, now I'm like this corrupted weirdo, I guess. But you know, I think yeah, that was kind of the plan, I guess, for the picture. And yeah, I think it lent itself to the song pretty well in terms of what the song means, in terms of life, in terms of people, in terms of relationships, and meaningful connections, meaningful time with meaningful people. Yeah, it all starts somewhere, and it starts with a little dude on a skateboard, evidently. So yeah.
Very nice, mate. Great to hear. All right, we're gonna just give you one last question, mate. We're gonna transport you and the band. You're one of the biggest acts at the time. Where would I transport you to? What stage? It can be anywhere in the world. It's a big one. And any band at any level. Who would you love to support you?
Oh gee. To support us. Or I want to say Midnight Oil, but I reckon they would just blow us off stage, to be honest. So we'd probably be setting them up for success, I guess. So yeah. I want to say them or the church. Yeah.
Hold your own in around that touch, mate, and to be blessed playing music of great Australians that you've honoured in very much a churchy sound in amongst Midnight Oil, mate. There's some brilliant little homages that you've done to all those bands. So to Ash Naylor, a good friend of ours from the church, mate, you've done a great job in
thank you.
Honing that kind of sound. And Ash being the new one into the band, into the church, I'm sure will appreciate the Great Australian Bank.
Oh, fantastic. If he hears it, then yeah, tell him I said good day.
I'll ensure he hears it. We'll send it off, or we'll make sure we do. So thanks for joining us. Most importantly, next Friday, look forward to try and get along and hear some of the new stuff as well as some of the classics that you've got, mate, called Leaving. There it is. Make sure you can get there to the old bar. Try and get a pre-sale if you can. That shows the venue and the band some confidence that a great little bar like the old bar is going to be full once again, as it should be on a Friday night leading up into Christmas. Don't tell me you got something on. Get your mates. Get there. Come and support this lineup of 3 other bands as well, mate. It's going to be a great lineup. Thanks for joining me, Tass.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Look forward to catching up and seeing you out there in the big world of music very soon.
Likewise, mate. Catch you later.
Cheers. Great to spend some time with Tass from Great Australian Bank. We wish them all the best for the last part of this year and into next year, out gigging, recording, doing all those great things that musicians are honoured to be able to do. And sometimes I don't think they appreciate as much. The incredible talent that they do possess, and the difference it makes in our lives to hear and transport us at a gig, or put the headphones on and transport us away from the place we are in our world to listen to great music and to discover great music is one of my true joys. So thanks for doing what you do, Great Australian Bank, and long may it continue. So we'll see you out there. Show 200 is coming up very soon, and we'll finish the year off in style. So we'll see you out there soon. Cheers.